I'm Ferney Muñoz, and I'm going to be talking about AWDL. ¿Dónde están los que hablan español que vienen de Latinoamérica eso? Okay, párense. All these guys come from Spanish-speaking countries, and we're going to have a Spanish-speaking WLPC. Mr. Parsons will make the announcement later. It's time. Okay, that's it for my slide decks. If you want a copy of it, have a digital copy, you can come and get it when you're done. Just close this here. So AWDL, I came across the issue when working with this and decided to present on it. Had no clue about it, so let's talk about it. You probably remember ad hoc, all these networks that, IBSS networks that we used to create without an access point, without infrastructure. Well, this is kind of the replacement for that. It stands for Apple Wireless Direct Link. And pretty much, there's like over 1 billion devices that use it. To unlock the computer with your clock, with your watch, well, be a clock, but you have a watch, it will use that protocol when you're transferring a file or AirDrop. You're going to be using that protocol. Without you noticing, it happens. So let's see what happens to the spectrum, and I think there's one here. Let me just detach this. AWDL came to replace IBSS, and of course, being Apple, it just works its own way. And there's like no documentation that heavily explains it. There were some guys, Milan, Matthias, and David that did some good research. There's a document online about it. It's called like 1 billion Apple's secret sauce. So I'm going to start Sidecar. We got my iPad here. Ferney's iPad. Let's see if it works. If it doesn't, it's going to be success. Oh, and it worked. Okay, it's good. So right now we're going to start seeing more activity. This protocol it has like 3 social channels. It's like channel 6, channel 44, and channel 149. And of course, it goes out to 80 megahertz wide channels here in 5 gig if it can. We are in regulatory domain US, so it's playing right here, right now. I'm transferring data to my sidecar. We tried this with Dan Jones in the UK, in Oxford a few months ago, and it goes to channel 44, because over there they have these channels being blocked. So let me just show you kind of like what happens when we are, I'm not going to do a packet capture, I was going to do that, but 10 minutes is not enough. So I did record some of this. This would be a packet capture while Sidecar is happening. So if I filter for my Apple Wireless Direct Link frames, it generates, unlike the IBSS used to create like a group owner, whoever created the network, and then other devices joined, and they started all beaconing. So it was pretty robust. With Apple, a device that initiates, like if you're going to AirDrop a file to another computer, or to an iPad, or to an iPhone, or vice versa, it will initiate the call, and then a device will start sending these MIFs and PSFs, which are master indication frames and periodic synchronization frames. And what those frames do is they will set, let's just open this guy here, all of the parameters of that connection. Part of that paper these guys wrote was about security, because all of this was being done just using the real MAC addresses of the devices. So they announced that, and Apple made some changes and made it more secure, so they randomized the MAC addresses. So it basically creates its own BSS ID, and it will just randomize MAC addresses for the sending and the receiving device, and it just makes up a BSS ID. That's what it's going to use. Unlike IBSS, AWDL, any device may just become like the master, and it has like some built-in stuff in there to like switch. It's not like IBSS that it has to be a master, and if the master couldn't transmit, then it will you have to create a new network. With Apple, all of the devices are sending these master frames, and they will be sending all of the PS frames, and they will be switching roles on the fly. So like looking at some of this information here, let me just open this. Let me just get this guy over. These parameters will be like synchronizing parameters, election parameters, who's going to be the master, and they set a whole bunch of values. A lot of this stuff for now is irrelevant, mostly because I don't understand it well enough. But in this part, we'll see what channels will be used. And they use availability windows, which are 16 transmit units, which are 1,024 microseconds each. So they assign. It's kind of like what when you do off DMA stuff that they assign resource units. This one, it assigns and it kind of reserves the time in transmission units. So it will specify the channels that it will use. So let me just show you a couple of videos because there's not much time left. But all of these parameters are being negotiated and being transmitted on the fly. Now let's look at some of the data frames. It does use your 802.11 standards. So it abides energy detect, it abides by all of the preamble detect thresholds that you have in place. And sometimes it might not work. Like for instance, let me just show you this short video here. That was the sidecar one. Let's just look at airdrop. Just look this short video here, and then we'll look at the capture actually on airdrop that is more interesting. I'm looking at the spectrum. I get a request that I'm sending a file, big file, and then boom, it goes. And it just uses up all 80 megahertz channels if available. Even if they're not available, it will just play nice with other Wi-Fi devices in the area. But then, let me just speed up this a little bit. Then it finishes the transfer of the file. It sends a few more action frames, and then life's good. So I try to select, what if that channel 149 being the primary channel is like heavily utilized and busy, or there's something happening? Will it push it to other, let me just bring this guy here. Will it push it to other social channels like the channel 44 or channel 6? So just bring this other video here. So what I did is I tried to force that channel to be used, and I used the Wi-Fi metrics and just start generating raw RF. Let me just make this bigger here. You guys see well back then? Let me just make it a little bit bigger. So I started the transfer of the file. Okay, accepted, life's good. It goes through the whole process, looks, this is zooming in into those 420s put together. Now I tried again, but what I did is I started the Wi-Fi metrics, just blasting on that one channel, breaking the energy detect threshold, well above next 62. And I started my file. See up there, I request, I need to transfer the file with this guy on. And it just waits patiently and respectful. Wi-Fi is a very polite protocol. Just keeps waiting. Nothing on channel 44, didn't force it over there. I went over to channel 6, like, nope, nothing happened over there. It didn't use any of the other social channels. It just stayed there and waited patiently until I turned the Wi-Fi metrics off, and boom, off it goes. So what's the relevance of that in our networks? If you guys design for Apple, and you do because they're everywhere, they're bringing all their toys and all their sidecars and using all of the features they have, AirDrop, AirPlay, and everything. So now we have to consider that in our designs, because this guy, it will play nice with that. Now, I'm out of time, but I'm not going to look at the watch anymore. Okay. Let me show you one more. And I think this is the coolest. This is the coolest thing out of this capture. If this is the right one, let me just open the right one. Turn it off. It's stressing me out, Mr. Parsons. Jeez. Okay, let's look at this pickup. This pickup has a, let me just look at the frame number here. This is when I was transferring the file itself. It was like a 2 gig file. This is what happens to the packet frame. Okay, hang on. Come on. Oh, and I have 10% battery left. That's perfect. So I know I should have been better prepared, huh? Okay, so it goes through the same process. It initiates, decides who's the master, and starts doing the transfer. And if we look at these frames, let me just pull one of these guys out, like the really big ones. I sorted out by size. It is doing AMSDU aggregation. It's ending AMPDUs. Let me just look at this right here. Okay, come on. Search for it. I know I should have been more, but I just want to show you all of what's happening while we're this. And I'll show you this, and with this I'll wrap up. Hang on. Okay, here we go. There's a specific one that I have here. Man, this is embarrassing. Every time I come up here, I screw up. And that's without doing a live demo. See? Okay. I'll show you this. Because, I hadn't seen much of this in the wild, but looking at this was pretty cool. I know I showed this to Peter McKenzie, and he's like, oh! And to see Peter McKenzie excited about, of course, packets will excite him anyway. But to see him excited about this, it was really cool. Okay. This is bad. You see that I'm blushing now? Okay. It does frame aggregation, and I'm right here.
Just past it.
No, 791. 791, come on. Okay, here we go. Oh man, I'm biting on the on your lunch time. Okay, here we go. 20 more. So these guys, these frames will be aggregating. So this plays nice with the entire protocol. Let me just move this guy over. And what it does is that in here we're going to be able to see. Let me show you a couple of things. One of them is going to be that it aggregates all MSDUs, and it will have multiple of these aggregated, and it uses the spectrum as efficiently as possible. Again, it is playing nice and being nice with other Wi-Fi devices in the area. But what this means is if you have high utilization of this type of devices in your network, it may represent a problem in those channels. So with that, that's it. Thank you very much. Sorry for taking more of your time.